si Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, kahapon po ay biglang lumabas ang isang pahayag na iniimbestigahan daw po yung patungkol sa pangyayari noong Southeast Asian Games. Ito po ba ay eksakto lang o ito po ba ay merong dapat tayong pangambahan? Sapagkat, alam niyo po, ako din po ay dapat ay pupunta ng Iran. Sapagkat isinagawa po ang pagbibigay-pugay sa namatay na kanilang leader, spiritual leader. Pero hindi po ako tumuloy dahil may impeachment po tayo. Tanong ko lamang po sa ating mga kasama, dapat po ba tayong mangamba? Dapat po ba kaming manggamba? At tayo po ay parang eksakto naman lahat ito? Hindi ba po tayo ay malayang korte? Tayo po ay may karapatan na binibigay ng konstitusyon na magsagawa po ng pagdinig na ito. Yun lamang po. Maraming salamat po, Ginoong tagapamahalang ko po.
The manifestation of Senator Judge Padilla is noted. What is the pleasure of Senator Judge
Mr.
Cayetano?
Presiding Officer, Rule 6 of the impeachment
Liligo na ako.
proceedings is that the rules of the Senate is suppletory, and if there is anything that affects the honor, integrity, or the functions of us individually or as a Senate here as an impeachment court, someone can rise on a question of personal or collective privilege. I won't do that, but may I just respond to what Senator Padilla said, since my name was mentioned and since the investigation announced by the NBI yesterday seems to be pertaining to this person as chairman of the 2019 organizing committee of the Southeast Asian Games. May I, maybe in the form muna of manifestation, unless the presiding officer or Senate President thinks that I should elaborate on by asking for time on a personal collective privilege, but I don't want to start that.
Senator
proceeding.
Judge Cayetano may make his manifestation.
Okay.
For the record, sir.
So, Padilla, I won't ask na ipa-play na yung video, but quite exhaustive yung sinabi ni NBI Director about the Southeast Asian Games. So if the intention was to have a chilling effect, we already have that chilling effect. May 11, hinabol dito sa session hall na to ng mga ahente ng NBI si Senator Bato. May 13, nagkaroon ng enkwentro, putukan, pinipilit ng NBI na hindi sa loob ng Senado, but we have all the evidence that it was inside the Senate. Other incidents, I do not want to evoke a reaction or debate because I want to respect my fellow senators. Much of this has been vented in the media, is in court. Director Matibag has promised us that he will give us a warrant issued by the ICC, has promised us that he will hold his agents na nanggulpi ng isang OSAA. He will be the one to implement the contempt order and hold them in his office, but wala ditong natupad. So when I mentioned his name, his position the other day that it was bad taste, walang personal yan. I mean, regardless kung sinong, even if it was a secretary, an alter ego of the president who wrote the prosecution team or the defense team to say, pwede bang next week kasi may seminar, I would have said the same thing, di ba? Na, you know, look at the gallery. Kompleto parati dyan, from Congressman Ace Barbers to many Congressman Ridon. I won't name all of you, but you're busy people. But you think this is important, so you take...
Free 315 pesos reward? Count me in. Make your first ever deposit of at least 100 pesos or 10,000 pesos on the Marybank app and hold it for 7 days to unlock your bonus. What are you waiting for? Download the Marybank app now.
mukha namang masama kapag yung isang bureau head. NBI director is a very important position, but it is a bureau. So if a bureau head, and tignan yung invitation, nakalagay sa invitation, or your representative, and we resolved it. So aksidente ba na yesterday, suddenly after I mentioned it, and after during the weekend, many have been talking about na dapat ata hindi 16. So 21 na lang kami ngayon eh. So 2/3 of 21 is 7. Pag nabawasan pa kami ng 3, 13 na lang yon. Pero some will argue, mabawasan lang kami ng 1 o 2, baka 13 na rin yon kasi wala naman half person o 3/4 person. So all of these issues are valid. Question, the chilling effect is there, but am I intimidated? Wala na akong choice. Ilalabang ko na to, gagawin ko yun ang dapat kong gawin. Bumaliktad man yung sitwasyon, si President Marcos ang ini-impeach and I felt a certain way, ilalabang ko rin. Chief Justice man ang i-impeach, ilalabang ko rin. But for the record, Mr. President, go ahead and investigate. First of all, that's been investigated many, many times. I'm not sure. I think the Office of the Ombudsman, ang nag-file pa ata, Chief of Staff mo eh. Senator Rob, I'm not sure but parang may kaso na nun. Senator Drilon quizzed us here. I was Speaker of the House but I chose to appear before the Senate to be able to answer all of those questions directly. The SEA Games, paulit-ulit yan. Biktima na ng speakership ng 2019 yan. Nahuli namin yung PR na sinabi kikiam, pinakain daw mga Muslim ng baboy, when it was chicken longganisa na pinakain. Pero nasiraan na tayo sa Malaysia, Indonesia. The SEA Games gave us so much honor. So far, it's still the biggest SEA Games in history. Many of our athletes launched their career, even going to gold medals in the Olympics. Our athletic and our yung aquatic natin center in Clark is one of the best in the world. Ang nagsabi nito yung Israeli coach ng isang foreign team doon. But go ahead if you want to investigate. But I just want to put on record, mukhang misfire. Bakit? Yung sinasabi niyang infrastructure na walang bidding, first of all, the procurement law has many modes of procurement. So don't make it appear sa public na just because walang bidding, may anomalya na to. Okay. Secondly, bakit ko sinabing misfire? Hindi po sa I'm referring to Director ng NBI Matibag. I had nothing to do with the infrastructure. The chairman of the committee. In fact, I had to resign from the DFA because I was running for congressman during that time. So dun sa sinasabi ni Director Matibag na may congressional insertion to fund it, it's definitely not me because how could a non-member of the Senate or non-member of the House insert anything? Okay. Dun sa sinasabi niyang infrastructure, it was done by the BCDA. The chairman of the BCDA is one of the closest advisors of the president now. The president of the BCDA is one of the closest advisors and is a secretary now. And he said medyo kaduda tong kumpanya na nanalo walang bidding. If I'm not mistaken, it's the same company who's making the City Hall of Pasig. Huh? So, I mean, if they want to investigate, go ahead. But by mentioning the organizing committee of the SEA Games, ako po chairman nun. At paninindigan ko po na napakaganda nung nangyari doon. At kung may anomalya, ako unang magagalit. So, go ahead. But my point, Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the court, sa prosecution, to be fair sa prosecution at marami akong kaibigan, I've never felt any intimidation from any of you. I mean, you've continued to be either friends or for those who are former friends but friends. I mean, I don't know if nagkamali lang ako but on the first day, I nodded ng konti kay Senator De Lima. Gumanon din siya, hindi ko alam kung na-acknowledge because we were friends once upon a time and this is a court. We owe it to each other to be professional, di ba? So wag tayong pumayag na someone like Director Matibag would do that. My point, Mr. President, Mr. Presiding Officer, he could have not announced it and investigated. Imbestigahan mo, tingin mo may mali, imbestigahan mo. But it is unfair to me and unfair to the court that kung kailan siya patatawag siya sa Monday, intimidate mo ako, hindi kita tatanungin sa Monday dahil mag-a-announce ka na iimbestigahan mo. Tapos sasabihin mo may insertion, tapos sasabihin mo hindi liquidated po lahat yon. So let me talk of unfairness. Hindi ba unfair? Kung ako babalik na rin ko, sasabihin ko, inimbestigahan ko na rin kahapon eh. Ang sabi sa akin, mainit ang ulo ni Director Matibag kasi may contractor na daw yung binigay na lupa para sa NBI at gusto niya sarili niyang contractor. Or would that be fair to him? No, it would be a Marites accusation. So that's the same thing he announced yesterday. A Marites accusation towards me that affects this court because I am now a senator judge. So I hope this is the last time that I'm going to have to speak about this. But definitely, we've been speaking about this, binabawasan talaga kami. Iniisa-isa, even yung mga vlogger na malapit sa administrasyon, sabi, 2 down, 3 down, may kasunod na. Di ba? So, Mr. President, I want this impeachment to be a test that the 1987 Constitution works and that despite political differences, the prosecution and defense, I saw them after the first or second day, nagkakamayang kayo, nagkakamustahan. After the first or second day nung mainit na baliktaktakan dyan sa pre-trial, nagbabatian, di ba? Even in court. So we can't help but be emotional. We can't help but get mad at what we think is disgusting or sometimes crossing the line. But is there any question that for this verdict, whether it's for conviction or acquittal, to be accepted by the Filipino people, we have to make sure that the integrity of the court is intact. I will admit to you, nahirapan po ako. Wala si Senator Marcoleta. Iilan lang po kaming abogado dito. Si Senator Pangilinan, Senator Cheese, si Aimee is a law graduate, di ba?
Pia.
Senator Pia, Bam is a second-year law student and I'm encouraging him na tapusin niya. Total review na yung nangyayari ngayon. But it's not easy. 24 lang kami, nabawasan na ng 3. So I hope this issue of the integrity of the court becomes an issue for all of us. No, I'll repeat what I said when I was Senate President. Director, hindi mo kami natibag. So wag mo try itibagin tong representation na to o itong impeachment court because what you're doing is not helping. You investigate whatever you want to investigate. You want to investigate ba't ako nagpatubo ng balbas? Investigate mo, no problem with me. Pero wag mo nang i-announce kasi nga naaapektuhan yung integrity ng court. Thank you for the leeway, Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Senator Judge Alan Cayetano. Yes, what is the pleasure of Senator Judge Pia Cayetano?
Mr. President, Presiding Officer, I assume most of my colleagues, like me, were busy studying the lengthy memorandum filed by each of the parties. For the record, 30 plus pages, more or less double space yung sa prosecution. Kaya by the time I got to the defense, para na ako matutuling kasi mahaba na nga yung 30 pages na double space. Napunta pa ako sa single space. Okay lang yun, kasama sa trabaho yun. Pero that's how lengthy the documents were. And I slept at 2 a.m. Hindi kasama to sa explanation ko. Di ako nagyayabang or anything. It's our job. And I'm a night person, so normal sa akin yun. And then in the morning, tuloy ulit. Sent my staff questions, asked for more details, and then we worked together throughout the morning until it was time to come here. So I don't know anything about this statement of Director Matibag. But it bothers me to hear this. I now remember that I saw a message pop up in my phone, which hindi ko nga pinansin kasi nga ito yung important issue ko na pag-aralan ko tong memorandum ng mga parties na inabala nga naman nilang very lengthily and exhaustively na nila dinidiscuss in a written document. But I recall now na may nag-pop up na message from a coach telling me na gustong pa-imbestigahan yung SEA Games. And di ko talaga pinansin. And now Alan brings it up and I am bothered. There is no jurisdiction in the world that allows a judge to be pressured and intimidated. And I ask each one of you, my dear colleagues, payag ba tayo sa ganito? Ganito na ba tayo dito ngayon? Don't we want a better country for our children? Why would you allow a director who's just called to be a witness next week brag that he's going to investigate? And again, I don't know. So I respectfully request that it be played. Because I want to understand. If I don't have reason to be upset, then thank you. I can focus. I can go back to the business on hand. But right now, I am upset to hear this. And I will stand up for each one of you. I don't care what side you're on. I will stand up for you if somebody tries to intimidate you. So with all due respect, Mr. Presiding Officer, I ask that we play it. I want to see what this witness is doing.
Presiding officer declares a brief recess.
Naligo ka ng babaw ng primo. Ano yung t-shirt ko na doon sa loob? Edward? Yung ganito na stripe?
In order for us to be able to move on with the matter on hand for today, which is the oral arguments of the parties. Chair therefore instructs the tech to kindly play the 1-minute video for Senator Judge Pangilinan is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. We share, we support the position taken by the presiding officer, but we'd like to place on record that the good NBI director will be here on Monday. So my initial view is that we should be able to do this on Monday, but I will yield to the ruling of the chair.
We thank the understanding and magnanimity of Senator Judge Pangilinan. The tech is instructed to play the more or less 1-minute video alluded to and requested by Senator Judge Pia Cayetano.
Meron kaming mga kaso na bago na dapat namin tingnan. Kumalala nyo, pumunta kami Clark because we were given 70 hectares for the NBI Academy. So magkaroon kami ng relationship sa plant. Nakita namin yung parang sports complex na ginamit ng SEA Games sa Philippine Cities Organizing Committee. Well, nakarating sa amin, may tinitingnan kami rito, kailangan kami investigahan. Dahil nakarating kami rito, pala yung pumasok dito na pera na unliquidated. At merong private company rito na involved na binayaran ng billion at ang pagbabayad insertion sa GAA na hindi binayad. So ito, imbestigahan. Malaking kaso rin ito. Iba pa yun. Yung sa Caldero, na kaso, I think it's ongoing, pero sisilipin na rin natin. Ito yung sa it's a Malaysian company na sila yung nag-build dito parang support area na to. Walang bidding. Tapos nabayaran bilisan na 10 billion yung halaga congressional insertion. So sisilipin namin to. Sa tunayan, meron kaming mga kaso na pumasok na bago na dapat namin tingnan. Kung maalala nyo, pumunta kami
I think that's it.
because we were given
I think that's it.
70 hectares for the NBI Academy. So magkaroon kami na rin.
Senator Judge Pia Cayetano is recognized.
Rest assured, Mr. Presiding Officer and dear colleagues and parties, I will not belabor this point. I will not stay long. But clearly, from the statements of Director Matibag, malaki daw kaso to. Naimbestigahan na niya? Alam niya ng malaking kaso? Paano niya nalaman? So, sa akin lang, Mr. Presiding Officer, simple lang eh. What was the intention here? To distract the minority floor leader, who is one of only two lawyers right now, because our other lawyer was already carted off somewhere. So dalawa lang kami. So you wanna distract him. So ako na lang ang tatayo dito. Hindi na siya makakapag-aral. Yung ba intention? Because it is clearly the intention. The fact that he has to stand up, the fact that I have to stand up, the fact that Senator Robin has to stand up, he is distracting us from our job. As Senator Alan said, he could do it quietly. Go ahead. Anong purpose niya? Nagyayabang siya? What's the purpose? Is he trying to intimidate us not to ask him tough questions when he is our resource person next week? I do not know. But those statements, those actions are not acceptable, possibly contemptible. So I ask the presiding officer and you, my dear colleagues, let's think about this clearly. I will stop now. As Senator Pangilinan said, we can take this up on Monday. Salamat na pinagbigyan niyo ako na mapanood natin at pag-isipan natin. Na gano'n na lang, pag may pinatawag tayo sa witness stand,
Place versus play. Gamblingly is 20 years up above only. Got a low seeing what we like there's no plus star.
sabihin ko ngayon sa kanya, manda ka sa akin ngayon. Pagdating mo, ganun ba? Gaganti na lang ako. Hindi ako ganun. Kilala niyo ako. For how many years ako tumayo dito? Hindi ako nanggaganti. Hindi ako mababaw. Pero I'm asking you, dear colleagues, wag tayong papayag. The Filipino people deserve better. We deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Judge Pia. What is the pleasure of Senator Judge Alan Cayetano?
Just, I didn't know we were going to play it, but just for the record, there's no issue with the Qualdron because it was paid by the private sector. There was no public money used, and it was designed by the firm of a national artist. So much so that that same firm, I don't know when we started to hire them, whether it was the time of Senator Lacson as the Committee of Accounts for the new Senate building or the time of Senator Nancy. But until now, there's engagement. So it's so easy to find out. No? But can I shift to the topic at hand? Just one manifestation for the whole Senate regarding the oral arguments.
We have not yet called the journal and called the court.
Yes. So
called
at the
case.
proper time, I just want to...
Yes, you may do so at the proper time. Proceeding now, if there are no objections, the presiding officer will dispense with the reading of the July 14, 2026 Journal of the Senate, sitting as an impeachment court, and shall consider the same as approved. Clerk of court will please call the matter before the impeachment court.
Case number 004-2026 in the matter of impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte.
Appearances for the parties.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. Same appearance for the prosecution. We are ready, Your Honor.
Appearances for the respondent?
Good afternoon, Your Honors. I'm Michael Poa. Same appearances for the defense and for the respondent accused, Your Honor.
Before recognizing the counsel for the prosecution for their 15 minutes for their presentation and oral argument in relation to their motions for the issuance of subpoena for banks, AMLC, and the BIR, Chair would like to recognize Senator Judge Alan Cayetano for his manifestation earlier. Alan? The Senator Judge intimated earlier that he had a manifestation before we proceeded.
Yes, this is really to be fair to the prosecution and of course to the defense and to each one of us. So yesterday I asked whether or not mag-oral arguments today, and then I'd like to thank the Senate President and of course the presiding officer and all our colleagues, no, Senator Soto, although magkatabi kami, hindi kami magkatabi, but I saw him agreeing that we should have a caucus and discuss this. Hinimay ko lang very preliminarily, if we're going to look at issues, for example, relevancy lang, you have about the banks, you have AMLA, AMLC, you have BIR. Then for each one of them, so for example, for the banks and AMLC, you have peso accounts and dollar accounts. Then for each one of them, you have the accounts of Vice President Sara, but also of the spouse, and then possibly of the companies, same sa BIR. So, although I do believe that we have exclusive jurisdiction, sometimes the Supreme Court have defined certain parameters that we either have crossed or not. So if we're going to vote, one vote, whether or not to allow these subpoenas, it would be unfair to everyone. For example, me, I cannot vote unless I see na walang problema sa lahat. Then no problem, let's vote, pwede. Pero kung sabihin kong walang problema sa banks at AMLA, may problema sa BIR. Walang problema sa BIR pero sa spouse meron. So we're going to have a caucus, and I'm sure we're going to have a good discussion on that. But just two things. Number one, can we give, of course, we'll follow the time today, but if any of the two, the prosecution or for example, in the rebuttal, after the rebuttal ng defense, makikita na ng prosecution saan talaga nag-o-object yung defense, hindi lang sa lahat. If we can give them a little bit more time, kasi nga, mahabang discussion to. Having said that, I'm more than okay if we have to have an extra day next week, whether to discuss among ourselves or I'm not preempting our caucus. I'm just saying, Mr. President, that I commit to you, I will not delay, I will not overtalk on these issues, and I don't think controversial each and every one of this yung request for subpoena dito, but there may be one or two, and I don't think it would be good for us to lump it in one issue if there are different legal issues. The law, there are similarities in the law, but there's a different law governing AMLA, there's a different law for the bank secrecy, there's a different law for BIR. So, thank you, Mr.
Chair notes the observation of Senator Judge Alan Cayetano. However, subject, of course, to any agreements that will be arrived at in caucus, we are constrained by the motions filed by the parties. There are only two pending motions that this court should act upon. Number one, a motion for the issuance of a subpoena with respect to bank and AMLC records on the one hand, and number two, a motion for the issuance of subpoena for BIR records. Understandably, there are sub-issues underneath each, but we cannot put a vote each and every sub-issue under each motion. So we will most likely, the chair would suggest, put it to a vote by the motions that have been filed by the parties, whether or not to grant it or to deny the motion filed by the prosecutors rather in this case. Again, subject, of course, any agreements we might arrive at in caucus, Senator Judge Alan. And the chair will submit to that. Now, as earlier agreed in yesterday's proceedings, the prosecution will be given 15 minutes for their chief arguments, Likewise, the respondent will be given 15 minutes, and then thereafter, the prosecutor will be given 10 minutes by way of rebuttal, and the respondent will be given 10 minutes by way of rebuttal. May I ask who among the prosecutors or counsel for prosecutors will argue the motion for the issuance of the subpoenas for the banks, AMLC, and BIR?
Your Honors, the prosecution will be represented by the Honorable Representative Chel Jokno for the purpose of this oral argument. Nonetheless, Your Honor, we have some manifestation to make for the prosecution.
The lead prosecutor may proceed. This is pertaining to the matter on hand.
This pertains, Your Honor, to the remaining witnesses for Article 4 threat.
Can we discuss that later before we adjourn, lead prosecutor?
We submit, Your Honor.
Thank you. On the part of the respondent,
The part of
who
the
will argue?
respondent, Your Honor, I will be the one arguing today.
For the record, kindly state your full name, Attorney Poa.
My name is Michael Wesley T. Poa, Your Honor. Thank you.
Your Honor, we're requesting that Congressman Chel Jokno be recognized.
For the prosecutors, the Honorable Representative from the party list of Bayan, Chel Jokno, is recognized for his oral arguments on the motions, twin motions that they filed. You are recognized, sir, and you may proceed when you're ready. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, everyone, to the members of this honorable court. May it please the court. Simple lang po ang isyong kinakaharap natin ngayong hapon na ito. Pero napakabigat. Bubuksan ba natin ang pinto ng katotohanan o haharangin ito? Ang hiling ng prosecution ay mailabas ang buong katotohanan so that this court may know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and make its decisions based on that. That is why we have requested the issuance of subpoena duces tecum for the bank records, tax records, and anti-money laundering council reports relating to Vice President Sara Duterte and her husband, Attorney Mans Carpio. Sa pamamagitan nito, may lalahad ang buong katotohanan tungkol sa mga alegasyon sa Article 2 ng Articles of Impeachment. Una, na pinayaman ni Vice Presidente ang kanyang sarili ng labis-labis sa kanyang legal na sahod at lehitimong kita bilang isang lingkod bayan. Pangalawa, na meron siyang mga ari-arihang hindi dineklara sa kanyang Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth. At pangatlo, na habang siya ay nanunungkulan bilang Vice Presidente, nakibahagi siya sa negosyo, directly or indirectly, kahit ipinagbabawal ito ng ating konstitusyon. Sasabihin marahil ng depensa na walang kapangyarihan ang hukumang ito na busisiin ng mga bank records, tax records at AMLA reports ni VP Sara. With all due respect, that argument is not only legally flawed, it is an affront to the authority of this honorable court. Kung tatanggapin po natin ang argumentong ito, hahayaan natin maliitin at insultuhin ang hukumang ito. The Constitution, Your Honors, please vests this impeachment court with extraordinary powers. Tanging ang hukumang ito lamang ang may kapangyarihang magpasya kung ang mga pinakamataas na pinuno ng ating bansa ay karapat-dapat pa rin manungkulan. Because this power comes directly from the Constitution, no one, no person, no law, no administrative rule can limit or supersede it. I repeat, nothing and no one can handcuff this court's power to try and decide this impeachment case. Kahit ang bank secrecy law po ay sumusunod at tumatalima sa impeachment court. The law explicitly states, and I quote its pertinent portions, all deposits are hereby considered as of an absolutely confidential nature except in cases of impeachment. Walang kaduda-duda, may karapatan at kapangyarihan ng impeachment court na busisiin ang mga bank records ni VP Sara. Hindi rin po hadlang ang Data Privacy Act. The law itself affirms that confidentiality shall not apply, and I quote, should the personal information be needed pursuant to a subpoena duly issued. Muli, walang kaduda-duda. May karapatan at kapangyarihan ng impeachment court na ipasabina ang mga dokumento ni VP Sara Duterte. Pero sabi po ng kampo ni Vice President, irrelevant daw ang mga bank records, AMLAC reports at BIR records. Lalo na daw yung mga transaksyon na nangyari bago siya umupo bilang pangalawang Pangulo dahil wala raw itong kinalaman sa kasong ito. The prosecution respectfully but vehemently disagrees. Ayon sa report ng Anti-Money Laundering Council na isinumite sa Committee on Justice ng House of Representatives, the financial activity of Vice President Sara C. Duterte increased significantly starting 2007 when transaction values surged to 208.15 million pesos. According to this report, which is marked as Exhibit P-2-7-8, I quote, financial movements intensified between 2009 and 2013 with consistently high totals exceeding 400 million pesos, including notable peaks in 2009, 704.93 million pesos, 2010, 648.58 million pesos, and 2011, 597.15 million pesos. Si VP Sara po ay nanungkulan bilang Vice Mayor ng Davao City mula 2007 hanggang 2010. Naglingkod naman siya bilang Mayor ng Davao City mula 2010 hanggang 2013. From 2007 to 2013, ayon sa records ng AMLAC, lumampas sa 3 billion pesos ang kanyang financial activity. May kinalaman ba ito? Ito ba ay relevant sa Article 2 ng Articles of Impeachment, which alleges, among others, that VP Sara betrayed the public trust and culpably violated the Constitution when she amassed unexplained wealth manifestly disproportionate to her lawful income? Para sa prosecution, malinaw ang sagot. The Vice President's financial activity as Vice Mayor and Mayor of Davao City relates directly to the main fact in issue in this case, her fitness or unfitness to serve as Vice President. Let me explain. The framers of the 1987 Constitution added betrayal of public trust as a ground for impeachment, and I quote, to include all acts which render the officer unfit to continue in office. For this honorable court to determine whether VP Sara Duterte is unfit to continue in office, it must have a clear picture of the respondent as a public servant. Kailangan makita ng publiko at ng mga senator judge ang tunay na kulay ng vice-presidente at larawan ng kanyang buong pagkatao bilang isang lingkod bayan. If she amassed staggering amounts of unexplained wealth while she was a vice mayor and mayor, doesn't that say a lot about her unfitness to serve as a vice president? Isn't that relevant to the question this court must resolve at the end of this trial of whether or not the vice president betrayed the trust given to her by the people? From what I have gathered and read, Your Honors, please, this is not the first time this court has been confronted with this issue. Sa impeachment ni dating Chief Justice Renato Corona, tinanggap ng hukumang ito ang mga ebidensyang nakalap bago pa man siya naupo bilang punong hukom. I believe it was then Senator Judge, now presiding officer Francis Escudero, who raised the question, will the impeachment court consider only Corona's acts as Chief Justice? This after observing that some exhibits predated his appointment as Chief Justice. This matter was taken up in caucus, after which this court decided to allow such evidence. When Philippine Savings Bank President Pascual Garcia III testified before this court in the same Corona trial. He refused to answer the question of then Senator Judge Franklin Drilon on the starting balance of Corona's 2 peso denominated accounts. But if I'm not mistaken, it was Senator Judge Alan Peter Cayetano who said that records of initial deposits are among the quote-unquote opening documents that should have been brought to the impeachment court. After reading the subpoena, presiding officer Senator Juan Ponce Enrile held that Senator Judge Cayetano's observation was correct. During the same hearing, the presiding officer ordered the issuance of subpoena to PS Bank Katipunan branch manager Annabel Chong.
Eto kung sumasakit din yung paa mo sa sapatos pag gumagala or pag namamasyal, magganitong clogs ka na lang guys. Clog shoes, sobrang dali lang isuot, hindi na hassle guys kasi slip on, isusuot nyo na lang agad siya sa paa nyo. Napakasulit na. Pwede nyo din itong gamitin pang motor guys, walang huli to pag nasa checkpoint. Ligtas to guys, napakasulit na. Ang ganda na ng quality nito, tapos guys, affordable lang to sa Yellow Basket. Yung outsole niya, ganyan itsura. Tapos guys, true to size na din to. Size 41 ako, size 41 din in-order ko. Solid na guys, ang ganda na ng quality. Kaya kung gusto nyo mag-check out, sulitin nyo na sa Yellow Basket guys habang marami pang stocks available. Ching!
Everything you see, it's all free. No paywalls, no VIPs, just the stories you love. From high-stakes revenge to heart-melting romance, dive into a world of endless possibilities. Endless dubbed series. Your world, your voice. Crystal clear or data-friendly. Smooth streaming on any network. No internet? No problem. Download your favorites and watch whenever, wherever. Download and unlock your next chapter for free.
Impeachment cases. Kayo lang po, Your Honors, ang may kapangyarihang magpasya kung ano ang impeachable offense at kung anong ebidensya ang maaaring tanggapin para patunayan ito. Kinilala ito mismo ng Korte Suprema. In the case of Francisco versus House of Representatives, the Supreme Court declared, and I quote, "A determination of what constitutes an impeachable offense is a purely political question which the Constitution has left to the sound discretion of the legislature. Such an intent is clear from the deliberations of the Constitutional Commission." Inulit po ito ng Supreme Court sa kasong Gutierrez versus House of Representatives, where the Supreme Court declared, and I quote, "Francisco instructs that this issue would require the court to make a determination of what constitutes an impeachable offense. Such a determination is purely a political question which this Constitution has left to the sound discretion of the legislature. Clearly, the issue calls upon this court to decide a non-justiciable political question which is beyond the scope of its judicial power." Since this impeachment court has the sole power to determine what constitutes an impeachable offense, no one, not the Supreme Court, much less the defense, can impose limitations on that power. No one can dictate to this court how to exercise the exclusive power to decide what constitutes an impeachable offense. In closing, Your Honors, I go back to the most fundamental provision in our Constitution on the accountability of public officers, Article 11, Section 1, which provides, and I quote, "Public office is a public trust. Public officers and employees must, at all times, be accountable to the people." Ibig sabihin po, sa proseso ng impeachment, ang pananagutan sa taong bayan ang pinakamahalaga sa lahat. Kaya naman po, ang hiling namin sa Korte, gamitin ang inyong natatanging kapangyarihan at karapatan na pusisiin ang bank records, tax records at AMLA reports kaugnay ni VP Sara at ng kanyang asawa. Sa ganitong paraan, Your Honors, madedesisyonan ninyo ang kaso base sa buong katotohanan. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth para sa interes at kapakanan ng sambayanang Pilipino. Before I close, If Your Honors please, if I have whatever time I have left, may I request that it be credited to my rebuttal. Maraming salamat po.
We will try to do that, Your Honor. You have 1 minute and 39 seconds. And if at all we do so, we shall equally credit it to the rebuttal, if any, of the counsel for respondents.
Thank you.
Attorney Powa, if you're ready, you may proceed with your oral arguments on the twin motions filed by the prosecutors. You may proceed, sir, when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You have 15 minutes.
Mr. Presiding Officer, Honorable Senator Judges, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. The issue before the impeachment court today is not whether you possess the power to issue a subpoena. The real issue is whether such power may be exercised in a manner that disregards due process and compels the production of documents and information beyond what is allowed by law. Your Honors, jurisprudence provides that for a subpoena to be valid, it must comply with twin requirements of 1, definiteness, and 2, relevance. Ibig sabihin po nun, dapat particularly describe po ang nasasaklaw ng subpoena at dapat may direktang kaugnayan sa ginagawang paglilitis. Your Honors, when a subpoena becomes oppressive, when it is unreasonable, and when it is merely issued for the very purpose that there is a hope that somewhere, somehow, something incriminating will come out, it ceases to be an instrument of justice. It becomes a weapon of a fishing expedition. And that is exactly what confronts this very court today. And that is why the defense has taken the position that the prosecution's requests must be denied. Allow me to explain, and let me begin with constitutional points. Our first point, Your Honors, due process. Impeachment is primarily a legal and constitutional procedure with political characteristics. It is sui generis, but it is not a purely political proceeding. Ibig sabihin po nun, the Bill of Rights, especially the due process clause, applies in all stages of the impeachment process. Your Honors, those are not my words. Those are the words of the Supreme Court in Duterte versus House of Representatives. And that is the law of the land. When we speak of due process, we offer a simple proposition that evidence must be present to support each and every accusation. Pero hindi po yun yung nangyari dito. Balikan po natin kung saan nagsimula itong proceeding na ito. I have here with me, Your Honors, copies of the Zabalia and Cabrera complaints, both filed before the House of Representatives. Both accused the Vice President of allegedly amassing unexplained wealth, both with voluminous attachments. Yet not one attached a document to support that accusation. Not a single financial transaction record, not even a single SALN. In fact, it was only after these complaints were filed, and more significantly, only after the respondent had filed her answer before the Committee on Justice, that committee started searching for evidence to somehow support these accusations through, again, the issuance of subpoenas. Your Honors, we objected then and we are still objecting now because, with all due respect, the position of the defense is that is the very definition of a fishing expedition. Your Honors, in our legal system, it is not permitted to accuse now and then just look for proof later on. That is not how due process works. Hindi po dapat natin pinapayagan yan. Moving on to my second point, Your Honors. Let's talk about relevance. It is our position that the requests of the prosecution are in fact fatally overbroad. Bakit po fatally overbroad? An impeachable offense is an act or omission committed while the public official is occupying an impeachable office, not before being elected or appointed to such position. Again, Your Honors, those are not my words. Those are the words of the Supreme Court in Duterte versus the House of Representatives. That is controlling, and that is the law of the land. Yet here, Your Honor, today, the prosecution is requesting for documents spanning almost 2 decades, almost 20 years, dating as far back as 2007. Your Honors, it is a fact na noong 2007, ang respondent ay Vice Mayor pa lamang. Definitely not an impeachable office, Your Honors. How is that relevant? It is the position of the defense that it is not. In fact, what that is an unlimited search throughout a person's financial history. That should not be allowed. Your Honors, if a subpoena is not narrowly tailored, it is oppressive. For these reasons alone, we are of the position that the request should already be dismissed. Nonetheless, if the impeachment court were to extend its utmost liberality, which the prosecution have asked for in their memorandum, we'd like to point out, Your Honors, that Congress itself, the Senate and the House of Representatives, enacted laws that specifically prohibit the disclosure of this information that the prosecution is asking for now. Let us go through them one by one. Let's start with RA 9160 as amended by RA 11521, which is the Anti-Money Laundering Act. Your Honors, the prosecution is asking for covert transaction reports, suspicious transaction reports, financial intelligence reports, again, spanning almost 2 decades. However, it is clear under Section 8A, which we are flashing on the screen right now, na bawal po yun. Disclosure is prohibited under this provision, Your Honors. It is in black and white. Meron po bang exception? Wala po. Impeachment is not an exception. Had Congress wanted to make impeachment as an exception, madali lang naman pong ilagay yun sa batas. Pero hindi po iyon nagawa. Now, in fact, I also have here copies of the Financial Intelligence Report and another report from the AMLAC, the Information Management Analysis Group, which were already marked as exhibits, Your Honor. And it's in the records of the court. Exhibit D2-8-P1, where it says specifically that it should not be the information should not be used as evidence in formal proceedings, Your Honors. Clearly, Your Honors, to compel AMLAC officials to disclose such information would be to compel them to violate the law. Let's move on now to the tax records, Your Honors. Prosecution is asking for tax records, so let's look at the tax code. Section 270 of which criminalizes disclosure of taxpayers' information. Meron po bang exception sa batas na ito? Meron po, but it is limited. Kasama po bang impeachment? Hindi po. That is very clear. Again, Congress wanted to put an exception for impeachment. They could have easily done so, but they did not. Now, Your Honors, let's go to bank secrecy law. RA 1405. The state policy has always been to favor the secrecy of bank deposits, Your Honors. Dito, while we recognize that impeachment is in fact an exception, Your Honors, we submit that this exception is not automatic. Meaning, hindi porket may exception for impeachment, pwede na kaagad natin buksan ang lahat ng bank records na hinihingi ng prosecution. Why? Because, Your Honor, this exception does not dispense with constitutional safeguards. It does not abolish the right to due process. So dapat po, meron pa rin tayong basihan. If you look at the articles of impeachment, wala naman po doon na nagsasabing yung sinasabing unexplained wealth coming from, even if it was an illegal activity, ay pinasok sa isang specific account. In fact, Your Honors, this exception does not automatically mean that we should permit a fishing expedition. Yun nga pong mga bank account numbers na nakaspecify sa request for the issuance pa subpoena, ang aming posisyon po dyan, yan po ay nakalap doon sa illegal disclosure, with all due respect, na ginawa ng AMLAC before the Committee on Justice. And then, Your Honors, they're also asking for the bank records of the spouse. Your Honor, the spouse is not an impeachable officer. And therefore, the spouse